Aren't stem cells supposed to be useful for treating diseases and injuries? How long is it going to be before we start seeing some benefits from stem cell research?
Actually, stem cells are already being used in medical treatments. For example, bone marrow transplants use adult stem cells, and we've been using this technology for more than 50 years. Remember that bone marrow contains stem cells that constantly replenish our blood. Sometimes our bone marrow can be damaged from the radiation or chemotherapy used to treat cancer, or from diseases that attack the bone marrow. Doctors are able to transplant bone marrow into these patients from a closely matched donor. If successful, the stem cells from the new bone marrow are able to repopulate all of the bone marrow in the patient's body. But there's more to stem cells than just bone marrow transplants. Here's Dr. Anthony Atala, a researcher at Wake Forest University, to tell us more.
There are many areas in medicine that may benefit from stem cell research. For example, diabetes, where patients don't make enough insulin, which is a protein that controls sugar in your body. Or dopamine for nerve cells, which is what prevents certain diseases such as Parkinson's disease, where people lose the ability to have good motion. Other diseases, for example, like liver problems, may benefit from stem cells that may supply the necessary cells and proteins to make livers function properly. In short, there are many different conditions that would benefit from stem cell therapy if and when these become available.
But there are also applications for stem cells that are not related to medicine at all.
One of the most amazing things about stem cells is that they really recapitulate. They bring over, once again, the ability to observe how cells develop into other tissue types. Therefore, it gives us a window into developmental biology. What is it that happens when cells are developing into tissues in the embryo, in the fetus, in the human being? And those very facts can unlock for us many keys for therapies for the future.
That sounds great, but I thought stem cell research was controversial.
There isn't much controversy about using adult stem cells. These stem cells can be derived from our own tissues or from tissues discarded at birth. But embryonic stem cells are usually taken from a blastocyst. This method of obtaining embryonic stem cells destroys the embryo. So who would want to donate an embryo that would be destroyed? There are currently 400,000 frozen embryos in the United States that are left over from a process called in vitro fertilization. Couples who have successfully completed their families can donate their extra embryos for research or to other couples. Embryos that are not donated to science or to other couples are either frozen indefinitely or discarded. Very recently, a new method of creating embryonic stem-like cells was discovered. The cells created this way have the ability to differentiate into all of the cell types in our body, but they are created from human skin cells, not embryos. As scientists learn more about these cells, they could prove valuable to research and therapies. Many scientists think that embryonic stem cells could be more useful than adult stem cells because they have the ability to change into any cell type in our body. Research on these cells has the potential to produce new treatments for many diseases. Many people suffering from these diseases place great hope in this work. Others believe that since each embryo is a potential human life, destroying embryos for research is morally wrong. This is a difficult question we all have to think about.
So is research on human embryonic stem cells being done now?
Well, the short answer is yes, but it's a little complicated. Different countries have made different rules about how stem cell research can be carried out. For example, in the United States, human embryonic stem cell research is allowed, but President Bush has restricted it. Most research in the U.S. is paid for, at least in part, by taxpayer dollars. However, President Bush banned the use of taxpayer money to study any embryonic stem cell lines created after August 9, 2001. Many scientists who work with embryonic stem cells feel their work is restricted by this ban. Those scientists working with adult stem cells are not affected by these restrictions.
Wow, and we thought that the science was complicated.
I guess there's room for a lot of different viewpoints.
You're right about that, and with all the potential and the controversy surrounding stem cells, you can be sure we'll be hearing about them for years to come, so it's important that we learn about them.
Thanks, Morehead. Now we're less mystified by stem cells.
Thanks, Morehead. Now maybe you can help us understand the hip-hop.
Word, Tim.
And thank you for watching Stem Cells Demystified, a production of the Morehead Planetarium and Science Center.